prayer were made. He then prayed the noon prayer. Then the pronouncement of the beginning of the prayer was made, and prayed, and he prayed the afternoon prayer. He did not pray anything in between them. He then rode until he reached his side. He made his she-camel face the side where there were rocks, the path of those who sent on foot in front of him, and then he faced the Qibla. He kept standing there until the sun set completely, with its yellow light gone. He placed Osama behind him on his animal. He pulled the nose string of the camel so forcefully that its head touched the saddle, and he pointed to the people with his right hand, indicating, "O people, have calmness. O people, have calmness. Have calmness." When he came to an elevated portion of sand, he would loosen the nose string until the camel climbed it. That is how he reached Al-Muzdalifah. Then he led the sunset and night prayers, with one call to prayer and two pronouncements of the beginning of the prayer. He did not pray anything in between them. The Messenger of Allah then lay down until dawn and prayed the dawn prayer. When it was clear that it was dawn, with one call to prayer and one pronouncement of the beginning of the prayer, he again rode the she-camel, and when he came to Al-Mashar al-Haram, he faced the Qibla, supplicated to God, exalted him, and pronounced his oneness. He remained stopping there until the daylight was very clear. He then went quickly before the sun rose. Al-Fadl ibn Abbas was seated behind him on the she-camel. He had beautiful hair, a fair complexion, and a handsome face. As the Messenger of Allah was moving along, there was a group of women to his side. Began to look at them. The Messenger of Allah put his hand on his face to turn it to the other side. He again began to see, and the Messenger of Allah again pushed his face to the other way until he came to the bottom of Muhassir. On the road between Muzdalifah and Mina, he urged the she-camel on, following the middle road until he came to the greater Jamra, place of casting stones. He came to the Jamra, which is near the track known as Jamra al-Aqaba. He threw 7 pebbles at it, each time saying, "Allah is greatest." He threw them from the bottom of the valley. He then went to the place of the sacrifice and sacrificed 63 camels. By his hand. He then gave the remaining animals to Ali to sacrifice. Thus he joined with him in the sacrifice. He then asked that a piece of flesh from each animal sacrificed be put into a pot. When it was cooked, the Prophet and Ali, took some meat out of it and ate its soup. The Messenger of Allah again rode and came to the house in Mecca. He prayed the noon prayer. He came to the tribe of Abdul Muttalib, who were supplying the water of Zamzam. He said, "Draw water, O tribe of Abdul Muttalib. Were it not that people would take this right of supplying water from me, I also would draw water with you." So they handed him a pitcher, and he drank from it. In his commentary to Sahih Muslim, Imam an-Nawawi wrote, "This is a great hadith. It contains many beneficial points and the substance of many important principles. The people have spoken about its points of jurisprudence and have mentioned many points. Abu Bakr ibn al-Mundhir has compiled a large volume on this hadith and has derived some 150 points. An additional similar amount could be added to that. The essential components, obligatory acts and sunnah acts of this act of worship, sunnah acts of the Hajj. The sunnah related to entering the inviolable state are the following: making ghusl, the complete washing at the time of entering the inviolable state. Ibn Zayd ibn Thabit, that he saw the Prophet remove his sewn clothing to enter the inviolable state, and he made ghusl, applying perfume to one's body before entering the inviolable state. I would applying perfume to one's body before entering the inviolable state. Aisha said, I would perfume the Messenger of Allah for his inviolable state when he was about to enter into it, and when he excited from the inviolable state before circumambulating the house, to wear a white waist wrapper and loose outer garment. The Prophet left from Medina after he combed his hair, applied oil, and wore a waist wrapper and loose outer garment. His companions did the same. As for preference for white, it is based on the hadith of Ibn Abbas, who narrated that the Messenger of Allah said, Wear of your clothing the white clothing, for it is the best of your clothing, also shroud your deceased in it. To pray in the valley of Al-Aqiq. For those who pass by that land, related that he heard the Messenger of Allah while in the valley of Al-Aqiq say, Tonight a visitor from my